All right. You know something? Before I move this on, you were on SNL, I believe, when the young Eddie Murphy came
after me. He came after me.
He came after you?
Yeah.
Okay, you never got a chance to work with him on SNL?
Not at all. No, not at all.
Okay. We talked about Car Wash.
Yes.
Now, you know, another classic film within our community, but I want to focus not so much on the film itself, but the actors that played in it. You know, Richard Pryor was in the film. Bill Duke, who you mentioned earlier.
Yeah.
George Carlin, or Antonio Fargas.
Yeah.
You and so many of these legends go back so far. What was it like working with these guys? Did you know that these guys were legends in the making?
Oh, man, believe me, I was just so great to be in that company. Tony Fargas, I fell in love with his portrayal of this character in Great White Hope. Did you see him in that?
No, I didn't see him in that.
Oh, my God, he kicked ass.
I just know him from Starsky and Hutch.
Oh, no. You should have seen him in The Great White Hope. He played like an interlocutor, is that the word to use? Because after every scene, he'd come home and comment on the scenes. That was his role. And I'd never forget it doing that role. Plus, later on, he was in Starsky and Hutch.
Yeah.
Bill and I were friends way back there because we had done Imamu's play Slave Ship. And we had gone to Europe to, in fact, bring that play to Europe. So, as a matter of fact, Bill and I participated in a rebellion of a cast against what the producers were doing in the production of Slave Ship. Because in New York, the producers were violating a whole lot of rules, and so we decided we can take it. And when the second act started, we all stood up and say, "Hey," and we told the audience why we were producing, and we walked out. Sure enough, in Europe, we had to do the same thing to a producer in Zurich, Switzerland. And why did we do that in Zurich, Switzerland? Because the producer happened to be the brother-in-law of the mayor of Zurich, and he put out a 72-hour alarm for our arrest.
And
Are you
serious?
Niggas got out of Zurich by plane, bus, carriage, or running. Any way you can think, you had niggas getting out of Zurich, okay? and I don't use the word N-word without thinking about it, because we got out of there, man.
Oh, man. All right.
But Bill Duke and I were still friends to this day. Matter of fact, we had a lunch together yesterday. Who else?
So you still keep in touch with Bill like that? That y'all had lunch together just yesterday?
Yeah, me and Bill have lunch all the time. Yeah. He was at my 80th birthday thing.
Another one of the great black actors, another one of the great actors of our time. And I don't want to put y'all
Black
in a box.
Yeah.
Like let me just give the flowers you deserve. Another one of the great actors of our time, Bill Duke. Wow.
Yeah.
How about that?
Talking about Glenn, have you seen him in the Bayard Rustin story?
No.
I forgot the name of it, but I'll text you the name if I can when I get. But I saw it the other night at the Directors Guild. Great story. Had the new black actor I've never seen before playing him, and they are real about Bayard because he was gay.
Yes.
He was gay and black and leftist, which is the worst thing you can do in the 40s and 50s. Let's face it. But
Correct.
I didn't know until I saw the movie that not only was he brilliant, which I always thought, but he was the March on Washington was his idea.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, and he was the main one who got it together.
Oh, I did not know that.
Yeah.
Huh. Okay. Where do I want to go? Let me pit stop here for a second because Vlad just interviewed Todd Bridges on this same platform, and you had a regular role on Diff'rent Strokes, or you had a reoccurring character on Diff'rent Strokes.
Yeah.
What was your thoughts?
Well, it wasn't a
On that
regular
set.
role. I think I did a few of some episodes.
You did a few episodes,
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah. Well, you said what was Todd's story?
What was your thoughts meeting, because those Diff'rent Strokes kids, they were celebrated. Gary Coleman was probably one of the biggest young
Yeah.
stars, period. Not
Right.
just a
You said-
black star.
Now you said what was my what?
What was your thoughts on meeting those kids? Gary Coleman, Todd Bridges, Dana
I was a
Plato.
Garrett Coleman fan. I was a Garrett Coleman fan. The late Dana Plato. I was a fan of the show, and I was happy to be on it. Yeah, I was very excited, And at that time, Gary was at the height of his thing,
Yeah, I mean, this guy was A-level. I mean, this was a child actor, but to see the way all of their lives turned out, Gary Coleman made somewhere upwards of $18-20 million on that show, and he ended up broke. He was working as a security guard in a mall before his passing.
I was told, I'm sure you were told, that his parents were basically responsible for that.
Yes, that was the word that went out into the world.
Yeah.
But it's so sad to see how his story turned out. Dana Plato, same thing. This was a woman who, I remember hearing the 911 call where a convenience store worker said, "Hey, I was just robbed by the girl on Diff'rent Strokes."
Right.
And she ends up dying of overdose.
Right.
Todd Bridges himself, he has battled and struggled with drugs.
Dana Plato, who played Kimberly Drummond on the show, had a hard time after losing a role on the show.
Mm-hmm.
In 1991, she went into a video store with a pellet gun and robbed him. The guy behind the counter called 911 and said, "I've just been robbed by the girl who played Kimberly on Diff'rent Strokes." I mean, literally, he was like, "I know who you are. She's not wearing a mask."
Yeah.
Were you in contact with her up to this point?
I went and testified for her in court, and that's why I ended up relapsing. I was 2 years sober. I was 2 years sober. I went in there, and man, that prosecutor beat me up so bad, I went home and got high. He made me feel so low about myself because that was his job, was to discredit me, understand? He did everything he could and threw everything at me and brought everything up that I went through emotionally and mentally, and I ended up relapsing after that. I ended up going back out because of that reason. I found out that I wasn't, what I realized was I should have stayed away from it. I wasn't ready to help anybody. I couldn't help myself. I was barely hanging on myself. And that was the dumbest thing I ever did.
Right, because that next year in 92, you're 27 years old. You got arrested for suspicion.
26,
sorry. You were
like
arrested on suspicion of transporting drugs for sale and possession of a loaded firearm.
Yep. Back then, like I said, I was a kid. If you think about this, my father was also abusive growing up to me and my mom. So if you think about this, you can't find anybody safe. There's no one safe. Yeah. I didn't have my father safe. Me and my mom we were safe when we weren't with my dad. When my dad was there, we didn't feel safe. When I was out on my own, couldn't feel safe because I was getting harassed by the police. When I was at the studio, then couldn't feel safe there either. I had nowhere to feel safe. So I carried guns. I thought that would keep me safe. And like we all learned, it's something that makes you unsafe. And then, like I said, I had relapsed and I had done drugs again, and because I had no real program.
Wow.
Could you see any of that within those kids back in them days?
No, I didn't. I didn't see that at all. And I thought, because if you see Todd at an earlier time, you would have expected him to be, because he was a number one child actor. Number one. Yeah.
Yeah. You also was on another one of all of our favorite shows, sitcom The Jeffersons.
Yes. Oh, I was delighted to work with Sherman and Isabel, man, and Roxy Roker and Carly's Marla Gibbs. Oh, that was a great time, man. And I was directed by a great TV director who had been around Negro Ensemble with me, Negro Ensemble Company, being ignored. His name is Oz Scott. Do you know who that is?
No, I don't.
Al Scott is one of the greatest television directors today. You should check him out on your computer when you get home. He directed this thing called Black Lightning.
Okay.
Yeah. But he directed and for those for colored girls on Broadway.
Yep.
That was his directing of it. He was the one who directed that.
Very nice.
He directed, I think it was Moving with Cicely Tyson and Richard. I think it was Moving, Bustin' Loose.
Mm-hmm,
Bustin' Loose. So he's one of my great friends. But oh shucks, yeah. But when I first did the Jeffersons, the first show I did, I directed it, and I was delighted to be working with Sherman and with Isabel and with Marla and Roxy. It was a great time. 2 years. A lot of people don't know that. I had 2 years as a regular on that show.
Yeah. I remember it well. I used to watch that show all the time.
Yeah.
You know something? You mentioned being black, being gay, and being leftist was not a good combo.
Oh my God.
There were long-standing rumors that Sherman, he was in the closet for the better part of his life.
Yes, he was.
Is this something that was commonly known amongst you guys, or did you just find out in the aftermath?
I knew about it. I knew about it a long time before it came out. Yes.
Really?
Yeah, I did.
That guy was such a comedic genius himself.
He sure was.
He really was, and he carried that show. And went on to do Amen.
Right.
Such a funny guy. It's just unfortunate that during those times, it just wasn't socially acceptable.
Right.
To be gay, to come out and live your truth. You would be cast from Hollywood, and especially if you was black.
In a certain way, it still is best to keep that sort of on the down low.
Yeah.
Even now. Because if you're a white actor, you can let it out. But if you're black, let's face it, that double standard is going to come in.
Correct.
Yeah.